So welcome to another Scottish Watches video. This time we have got not a round case but a square case, and it is from a company called SevenFriday, a brand I'd heard of but actually know nothing about. So on hand I have a bit of an expert. We've got Pietro again from Limited Edition to tell us all about the brand and this watch. So what's the story with SevenFriday?
Hi Rick, great to be here. Yes, SevenFriday is one of those brands that appeared from this big wave of independent watchmaking that is it's been flourishing over the last, I would say, 15 years. With the limited edition, it's all about the independent watch brands, so the brands that are not owned or controlled by any big group, but they actually make decisions based on family strategies or based on individual watchmakers expressing their art here and now. SevenFriday is a bit of a different story. So it's been started by a gentleman, Daniel Niederer, like me, an old fox of the watch industry, who at one point decided to show the industry that a watch, to be quality and to be cool and to be fun, doesn't necessarily need to be made in Switzerland.
Good point, yes.
So he gave an emblematic name to the company, SevenFriday, because he wanted to add it a specific philosophy as well, which would be the philosophy of how we love watchmaking, and we should love wearing a nice watch for the pleasure of doing that. So it's enjoyment, and being called SevenFriday is a message to treat every single day of your week as if it was a Friday. So to keep that sparkle and to keep that good mood across the week.
Now I'm going to explain the reason for the funky gloves isn't because we're precious or we're trying to emulate other YouTubers. The reason for the funky gloves is the watches that you've brought with you are unworn. They've never been on a wrist. The straps, you can see, they're brand new, and when you sell a watch to a customer, you want them to have the experience of being the first person to actually wear the watch. This actually reminds me of another brand I actually know a little bit more about, and that is Gorilla. They have got the same kind of philosophy. They've decided that they want to showcase different styles, independent watchmaking, and again, the guys behind Gorilla, they came from Audemars Piguet. So it seems to be a bit of a theme, people breaking away from the establishment and creating their own stuff.
Yeah, if you ask me, Rick, obviously I made my life being centered around this specific niche category of independent watchmaking, because I do believe that creativity is the way in watchmaking especially. We don't need a watch anymore really to tell the time, but we need a watch to carry on human stories. Yeah. So when we meet, we would be wearing completely different things on our wrist, and we would have a story to share, other than necessarily, a new Speedmaster or a new GMT Master. So it's it is exactly that. Finally, the boundaries of watchmaking have been open to go in any direction. Yeah. There are crazy watchmakers like, Konstantin Chaikin having the biggest success ever with a watch like a Joker that 20 years ago could have not been even thought about. And SevenFriday, they kept this creativity, but they also made it affordable, if you like, because with SevenFriday, we're talking about watches that are priced between 800 and 1,500 pounds. And what Daniel a little bit provocatively did was to use some of the same suppliers of some fine watchmakers based in Asia. So he fitted these watches with a nice Asian movement. The cases are made in Asia as well, but the design and the marketing is all done from Switzerland. So the idea was to show how quality and how affordable a nice timepiece can still be in this era where sometimes independent and mainstream watchmaking can be very, very expensive to wear.
But the thing is, and most people, maybe people that know about us and know about our podcast and videos will know this, but a lot of components that are in Swiss-made watches come from Asia anyway.
That's the big debate about the Swiss-made, which obviously, to be called Swiss-made, you only have to justify 60% of the total cost of production of the watch. 40% which is left is a bit... obviously a blurry area.
Yeah.
And in this case, Daniel decided to have a very straightforward philosophy of openly saying, The watches are actually shipped from Hong Kong. We are the distributors in the UK, and we
Right.
are official retailers with the limited edition. So you receive them from Hong Kong, and then we dispatch them physically to retailers or to final clients. But yes, Miyota movement, for example, obviously Asian made, but fully reliable, and it does its job.
Tell us about this particular watch then, because obviously there's various different models out. What's so particular about this one?
So on SevenFriday, the decision was made to go on a slightly, very iconic square case shape, again to try to break from the usual round cases. And the idea is to give full view on the multi-layer dials that hide the movements behind. The movements are mechanical and they are automatic as well. And they show the different layers, starting from obviously the pinion holding the hands, and then as you go down, the opening on the time-telling indication, and also the escapement at 5 o'clock. So it is a technical piece, like rather than a simply aesthetical kind of piece, which you would expect for that price range. But as I said, all priced at around, averagely at around £1,000. Now, this specific edition that you see here is the most famous SevenFriday to date, which is the woody one.
Okay.
Which was the piece that had the biggest success commercially, and it went absolutely sold out as it was launched 4 years or 5 years ago.
Right.
And we're lucky enough to have still one piece of the original run. And astonishingly, but not too surprisingly, the watch was priced at £1,500 and is now worth in excess of £3,000 on the collector's market.
Now, we've touched on this in a previous video that we've recorded with you, that the watches you seem to sell, they have heavy hitter presence on the secondary market compared to most boutique brands. So, for instance, the Constantine Shake and Joker watches started off around about the 7k mark. Now in the secondary, they can be 15 to 20. So this is another one like that then?
Yeah, it is a myth, the fact that only famous mainstream brands can hold their value. There are a number of independent watchmakers that actually have shown that when you control the quantities you produce, when you make sure that the idea is right and the excitement from the collectors is there, then they can easily increase in value. Although personally, I don't think we should. I mean, watchmaking is fun and should be fun. I think the investment part shouldn't be the main driver to acquire a watch in general. And actually, I quite like a jump in the dark as far as me as a collector is concerned. Sometimes I like to try to see through and to kind of provision what in the future is going to happen with a watch that maybe today could be worth nothing in terms of the investment value. But you can be surprised.
I always say to people as well, especially on the podcast and whatnot, when you're buying a luxury anything, you expect it to be fun and enjoyable and get life out of it. Don't expect to sell it for the same money you bought it for or expect to make a profit. That's an investment or that's value retention. So the fact that some watches hold their money or increase their money like this guy here is just a benefit and a bonus. You wouldn't buy a t-shirt and expect to sell that in a couple of years for what you paid for it. So no, that's fantastic.
Absolutely. The value is in your knowledge of what is behind the product, how the product has been conceived and the level of quality. And then you can be really surprised.
Now, this is quite pedestrian. It's a nice brown. It's got this wood. Take it that's obviously just genuine wood. It's not veneer.
No, absolutely. It's the wood is applied on the animation ring, and every SevenFriday watch has a different animation ring.
Now that's nice and historic. But what's the story?
Yes, we have
this.
Absolutely. We have an absolute preview of another success story for SevenFriday, the RockerBeats collection, which was made as well in its first edition 4 years ago with a street artist called RockerBeats,
right?
Based in Germany, who was renowned for his graffiti art. So in the attempt of being as creative as possible, of course, SevenFriday launched a limited edition in those days, which went absolutely sold out. Okay. We sold our last piece actually this month, and it was it's another piece that initially retailed at $1,500. it went for £4,000,
Ooh.
the last piece. So it became iconic of the ability of the brand to express creativity. So the one you see here in front of you is 2 pieces out of 3 that have been launched only for events of the new RockerBeats. So we can call it RockerBeats 2. And it's obviously a very arty interpretation of a SevenFriday watch.
Yeah, and it's very sort of artwork style, the way you tell the time on these as well.
Yes, absolutely. There's a kind of a satellite kind of way of displaying the time. You can read the time. On the left is a system of discs, rotating discs, one for the hours and one for the minutes. Again, which is different from the Woody one, which is a more standard way of reading the time through the 2 hands.
Yeah.
But of course, SevenFriday always keeping at an affordable price level. They try to experiment on different ways of telling the time and expressing art. The case is also fluorescent itself, so it is a watch that gives the best in the dark. And again, you won't find this in the stores because SevenFriday doesn't allow retailers to sell these pieces. Even online retailers like the Limited Edition are not really allowed to sell out of a SevenFriday event. So it's only during SevenFriday events that we can get hold of one of these pieces.
Right, well, let's see exactly what this looks like with the lights out. But the black light on, we can see a bit of a... This is a nightclub watch. This is a going to the gym or the nightclub or the other places you go at nighttime. Let's just say that. Oh,
I've been in countless events, SevenFriday events, where watches were not even shown. It was all about just getting together, having fun, and enjoy life. So it's completely in the philosophy of the brand. So for this launch, they have kind of glorified that kind of attitude. And
now these are actually fluorescent, not luminous, because if I do that, everything goes away. But no, it's a standout side of things that you don't usually see. You know, most watch brands, maybe G-Shock would do something a little bit like this, but traditional watch brand would never touch this in a million years. So there's 3 of these, and you have got them available, but only at events. Is that correct?
Yes, in terms of the RockerBeats, yes. Whereas for the core range collection, SevenFriday, you'll find it on thelimitededition.co.uk.
Brilliant.
And of course, in the authorized retailers in Glasgow, James Porter and Son, the Argyle Arcade are one of the authorized retailers. So
yeah, I saw the box of delights, I suppose, that you would see when you go in. They've got them in the window. Very striking. So I'm glad you guys have managed to hook up and get these pieces in.
No, absolutely.
So that's fantastic. If people want to find out more, you've got an Instagram page, you're telling me, that's quite busy.
Absolutely, yeah. Every day, genuine contents. We try to avoid reposting, and we try to give some fun every single day on independent watchmaking. And the account is thelimitededition.uk on Instagram.
Perfect. Well, thanks very much for bringing these pieces up to see us, and we will catch you in another video soon.
Thank you, Rick. See you soon.